You know the drill. It says it's live. It's Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. We'll wait to see I can get it popped on her phone, see if we got any sound on there. And then we will get out of the way. I hear it, so we're on. It's good. Sierra is freaking out. So let's remember that. Pray for everybody out there watching. We ask you to like, share, comment. Not for anything that we do, not for any particular reason other than after you do this, when you look at this screen, you can't see people. You don't know really what's going on. You don't know if you're a help to people or not. You feel like you're just kind of embarrassing yourself and don't really know what what you're doing it for. It helps to be able to go back and see that you've encouraged people and that you've been a light to people. It's not an easy thing to stand on here and share some of your story and do things like this, but I think it's been a major help to a lot of people. We just got done with the 4th of July parade. This year we had 357 people that we got to count inside of the Buck God Army parade. I was talking to some of the groups, and I was talking to some of the people that used to sit on the sidelines now have their own floats in the parade. I thought that was cool. Some people that last year was maybe still out doing meth, maybe had brand new trucks and put trailers in the parade. Maybe some of them's kids were driving them down the highway in the parade. Some guy standing inside the group from Springs of Life said, "Randy, that was me. I sat on the curb and watched this parade last year, but this year they were walking in front of my truck, sober, happy to be there, present, and having a good time." And that's really what it's all about. We like to get people together to encourage people, have a place where people can come together and love on each other, encourage each other. So that's what we're here to do tonight. No other reason other than to be an encouragement, to be a light, to be an exhorter of our brothers and sisters. And it is not my job tonight. Tonight it's Sierra's job. She is extremely nervous. I just pray that you would remember that, encourage her, and I'll get out of the way and let her come share her story. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Thank you.
Shoo, I don't know if I've ever been this nervous before. I've told my story before on Facebook. But anyways, as you guys know, I'm Sierra. I've been sober for 4 years now. Um, I'm gonna start where my trauma started, which was I was 7, and my dad left. Every little girl wants to be a daddy's girl, and that was me. I wanted to be a daddy's girl, but he left when I was 7, and I only seen him every other weekend and on Wednesdays. Um, Between him leaving and getting girlfriends all the time, and my mom having boyfriends and stuff, um, that was a lot on me. I think that my parents done the best that they could, but it did impact my life. Growing up, I always thought I had to have a boyfriend or somebody, in my life, man wise. Um, at the age of 13, I drank for the first time and smoked weed. Um, my stepdad that I had at the age of 13, which was my person, I loved my stepdad with all my heart. But he was an alcoholic, and he would sneak and let me and my sister drink. And so I drink with him um, occasionally after my mom would go to bed because she had no clue. At the age of 14, I took my first narcotic. Um, I had my wisdom teeth cut out and was introduced to pain pills. And um, I remember it different than what my mother would remember it. I remember being left with my oldest sister who fell asleep in the chair and did not supervise me. And, here I am on pain medicine and everything. And I can remember going in my little bedroom and snorting my first pain pill on my math book from high school. And that was probably when I loved the feeling that it gave me. Um, it made me feel something different. I felt different, and I loved that. I ended up later on stealing the rest of those pain pills out of the medicine cabinet because my mom didn't know. She just stuck them in the medicine cabinet and we went on about our business. Nobody paid attention to that stuff. My mom didn't pay attention to that. She didn't think to pay attention to that. Um, at the age of 14, I was drinking, smoking weed, doing pain pills when I could get my hands on them. I was drinking a lot, a lot. I can remember sneaking off from the movies and going drinking with older guys. I ended up being date raped and sexually assaulted. At the age of 16, I was working pretty much to buy pain medicine or alcohol. And I was good at hiding it. I was so good at hiding it. Not many people knew. I still have people from school come up to me and say, I didn't know you were an addict. I didn't know you were an alcoholic, but I was. Um, at the age of 18, right after graduating high school, I found out that I was pregnant. And so I got sober. I didn't touch anything through my whole pregnancy. But I was later on in a bad relationship. I was in a bad relationship at the end of my pregnancy and stayed in that relationship and ended up back on drugs. So then I went on and got pregnant again at the age of 21. Stayed sober. I remember getting the pain medicine at the hospital and coming home and couldn't wait to get home so that I could get high, in here. So I've got a 3-year-old and a newborn, and I couldn't wait to use again. And I did that for quite a while. In 2012, I had a really bad four-wheeler wreck due to drinking and drugs. I got put on anything that I wanted. So, that was right up my alley. And I think that's when it started to come to light to my mom that I may have a problem. But I later got arrested and put on probation, so I got sober. And I went to church and I got sober and I done drug tests because of probation. And I stayed sober until 2015. And in 2015, I later had another child, and I took one pain pill at the hospital, and that was all it took. I come home from the hospital. I don't bring any medicine home with me. I think that I'm okay. I can just continue, being a mom, but I was miserable. I was not going to church anymore. I was a new mom, 3 kids, boyfriend always worked. I just started hanging out with the wrong people. So I started hanging out with the wrong people who done drugs, and so I did it too, which, think of it now, they just used me. I'm the one that had the money, the boyfriend that worked and paid all the bills, and we had, we're not rich by all means, don't take it that way, but I had enough money to buy something and they did not. So that was really bad. And I was doing that and still keeping it pretty much under control, or so I thought. Let me make it very clear that it don't matter how much you use. If it's 1 pill or 10 pills, you ain't got it under control, if you ask me. So in 2017, I was still using some, not a whole lot, but I talked to my grandpa, was going to visit him, was taking my baby down there. My baby wasn't 1 yet, and I get a phone call from my mom saying that, something happened to my grandpa. So I hurry and get down there. When I pull up, my grandpa's laying on the ground, and my grandma is on top of him screaming and crying. And that was awful. That was probably, after my dad leaving, that's probably the second most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. My grandpa is the man who helped raise me after my dad left. My grandpa is who took me to the doctor. Um, he was my everything, and to pull up and find him dead on the ground with my grandma crying was bad. Um, so my pain pill addiction spiraled out of control even more. I don't think at that point that I was even hiding it anymore. Um, and then pain pills got hard to find, and I met a girl and started doing meth. So I started smoking meth, um, and it was bad. And my boyfriend, I think he knew, but he didn't want to know. So he put up with me for around 3 years doing this crazy, insane stuff, and then finally started kicking me out. So I started getting kicked out of our home. I was packing up 3 kids, moving back and forth, and it was just, it was bad. So at the end of 2019, I lost custody of my kids. And even that wasn't enough for me to quit. Um, I had to go to court. They told me that I needed to go to rehab. I needed to do a step down program. And I didn't. I tried to commit suicide. So I had 3 failed attempts of suicide. And that was where I think I finally hit my bottom. Um, I knew that I had to do something different. Me and my boyfriend, who also had finally relapsed, we were fighting all the time. He was running away. I was just the definition of pure insanity. I was insane. And I'll never forget the day before rehab. I was in my little boy's room, who, mind you, I had no contact with. I wasn't allowed to speak to him. I had been 7 months. Wasn't allowed to speak to him, see him, nothing. I had a restraining order against me and a no contact order. But I was in his little bedroom, and I had a speaker, and I put gospel music on, and I blared it and was screaming, singing this gospel music. And I think that's finally when I had my aha moment that I had to once again give my life back to God and stop being selfish and stop denying Him. Because me and Zach were fighting, and I still managed to pack my bag for rehab, and I left. And I made a plan to where nobody knew how I was getting there. I was getting there, and I did. I made it to rehab on July the 3rd, 2020. The picture that you guys seen of me was my day checking in. That was the last day that I picked up any kind of substance. And it still wasn't easy. It still isn't easy. I went to rehab. I, had missed my oldest son's birthday. Was going to miss my daughter's birthday. And it was just still more trauma, more pain. But I knew that I had to fix me. I knew that nobody else is the problem. I'm the problem. So I go to rehab. I go to detox. I'm in detox. I go to rehab. And during rehab, I'm still going through trauma because Zach is still home using. So I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know if my car's going to survive his crazy, because he was in my vehicle. We had sold his in active addiction to get him out of jail, So I'm going through all of this, and there was a lady at rehab that told me to stop what I was doing and look down at my feet. And remember that that's where I'm at right now. And that's what you have to do. You have to remember where you're at in the now. I can't live for tomorrow. People try to make plans with me all the time, and I'm like, I can't do that. I have to live in the now. And I managed to make it through rehab, and after being there for a month, I call home, and Zach answers the phone, and I told him that if he couldn't stop to just take my vehicle, take my belongings to my grandma's house, that he was no longer my prize, because for the longest time I had made him my prize. He was my prize. He was my number one, before my kids, before me, before everything, before God. Um, and he put the drugs down too. So our sober dates are exactly a month apart. I came home and I was terrified. And I signed up at Ridgeview for the STOP program. I had been kicked out of it a couple of times prior to that, so I was thankful that they took me back. They did take me back. I continued to go to that. I'd done 90 meetings in 90 days. I'd done church. I go to church every Sunday, because without God, I couldn't do this. I went to court. I got visits. I got unsupervised visits. I hated my mom and my sister, and I now have my mom and my sister both back. And I think, if you ask me, we have a great relationship. I can say today that I'm actually living. I wasn't living before. I was the problem. I was the problem, and I had to change me. You know, I'm now 4 years sober. I got married 2 years ago to Zach. We now have all of our kids back, and have had them back for 2 years. I had a new baby. She is my little best friend. I did not know that I needed her, but I did, and she's amazing. And life is good today. Life is good today, but I couldn't do it without the NA program, without the AA program, and without church. I love church. I love my church family, and it's been a big blessing to me. And I think that's all I got, Randall. He didn't tell me what to do when I was done. That was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I'm like,
Hey, nobody on here can see the comments, but I can. And I just seen her mom saying that she loves her and she's proud of her. At the same time, Sierra was talking about where they had lost each other, but now they're back. And her sister Casey. Sometimes I like to listen and go through, and the things that I hear that it takes, and that's why we want to create some of these things that maybe the ones that are successful have at their disposal, and maybe others don't. And that's why Recovery House is one of our big dreams. We want to be able to do that. But as I was sitting there listening, it took family, probation, rehab, some tough love, DCS, church, Ridgeview, the STOP program, NAAA, 90/90, and the court system, and her husband, and the kids. I mean, you listen to that big list of things, right? That's a lot of things it takes for her to be able to stand here 4 years later, taking care of her kids, being present in their life, working, doing all the things, right? Just to have a normal day, doing all the things. But she said this. She said, "I'm the problem." That stuck out to me. If you'll just do that every once in a while, if you'll just sit and say, you know what, maybe it's me. Maybe I ain't doing things right. Maybe I'm the issue. Step back and look at that. She just said she's still the problem. I say Zach would, amen, and probably. So, listen, she said she looked down at her feet and had to realize of where she's at right then, in the moment. And right now, she's a present mom, taking care of her kids. Yeah, a lot of people like to bring up the bad stuff and all that other stuff, but I'm glad they don't write a newspaper article about everybody's problems. So here she is now, taking care of her stuff, doing her job, working, still went through the Ridgeview STOP program. Now that's where she works at. So always opportunity. Sometimes I think, you know, when I think of that, I think the same people that connected me to treatment, now this is here where I work at. And sometimes I think when you get it, The Bible says he addicted himself to the ministry. Sometimes I think when you get it, you want to be around while other people get it. We don't have no special answers. We're not sober superheroes. Somebody just told me the other day, they called me, they had 3 months sober, and they said, Randy, for the longest time I thought you still had to be doing something. There's no way that Randy Burge could have been sober. He had to be doing something, and I assure you, I do nothing, okay? And finally he said, I knew this. He said, you was always an encouragement because I knew this. If Randy Burge can do it, anybody can do it. If Sierra Daniels can do it, if Zach Daniels can do it, anybody can do it. Hey, we got a whole list of them that are out here doing it and trying to be an encouragement to other people. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. Listen, I laugh, I cut up, and stuff I shouldn't. That's okay. Listen, I'm a real person. Maybe I'm off a little bit. That's okay. Just leave me off. So, hey, I love every one of you. Hopefully tune in next week. You never know who we'll have. Y'all have a good night.